Do you want to know what absolutely ruined Halloween? Trunk or treat?
Trunk or treats ruined Halloween.
This is your reminder that if you are taking your children to go trunk or treating this year, you are contributing to the death of society as we know it.
If you're one of those parents and you're geared up for Halloween and then you end up taking your kids trunk or treating, it just shows me you don't actually love your kids at all.
Okay, my Halloween hot take is that trunk or treats are one of the most depressing things I can think about American society in the last few decades.
Okay, so is trunk or treating ruining Halloween? So I have 5 main topics that I want to talk about. So my first kind of bullet point is lazy parents, lack of attention spans, and instant gratification.
Go trick-or-treating with your kid then. My parents used to stand at the end of the driveway and stand there and watch me go up and be like, ha, there he is, making sure he's safe. That was an okay system.
Kids and parents alike just cannot handle traditional trick-or-treating nowadays. So many parents seem to just loathe their children, and then the iPads have completely rotted those said children's attention spans and reward receptors. Trick-or-treating feels like more of an event, more of a production, rather than just dumping your kid off at the church parking lot for 15 minutes and then going home. So many parents just cannot stand their children for multiple hours to take them out regular trick-or-treating. When you go trick-or-treating normally, I don't know about anybody else, but when I was of the age to trick-or-treat, we were out there for a good 4 hours minimum. But with trunk or treat, if you find a small enough parking lot with few enough trunks handing out candy, you can be there for, 15, 30 minutes tops and you're done. You don't have to spend much time with the kids that you seem to hate for whatever reason. Another big thing is when you're doing regular trick-or-treating, you need to be watching your kids. You need to be parenting your kids. You have to watch to make sure they don't, wander off, misbehave, make sure they are being safe for themselves and others, make sure, somebody's not trying to abduct your child, make sure they're not knocking over people's decorations, make sure they're being safe getting, up and down people's porch steps, as well as being, kind and courteous to the random house they just walked up to, etc., etc. Whereas if you take them to the church parking lot, you still probably should be walking, with them and making sure they behave and everything. But, you're probably in your own church's parking lot. You have a sense of security. Whether it's a false sense of security or not, I don't know. I have my own thoughts about that we're not gonna be getting into. But a lot of times parents feel like they can just kind of let their kid walk around the parking lot by themselves, as well as it's just a parking lot. If you're standing, kind of near wherever they started or something like that. Maybe you're standing in a group of other parents, your friends talking or whatever. The parents are able to see their kids throughout the whole time they're going to the different trunks. So they don't really have to deal with their kids. Just, kind of glance at them every now and then. There's a lot less actual parenting that has to be done at a trunk or treat versus regular trick-or-treating when you're out braving the neighborhood in the dark. My other thing with this, kids nowadays have 0 attention spans. They just want to get home and play on the iPad, so they don't want to be out trick-or-treating for hours and hours. They want to do a quick loop around the mall parking lot, 15, 30 minutes, so they can get back in their mom's minivan and play on their iPad. They are missing Miss Rachel and Bluey, okay? They need Cocomelon now. The other thing that I feel like kind of goes with this is instant gratification. If you're walking from trunk to trunk to trunk, that's, every 6-10 feet, there's a person with a bowl of candy. You're immediately getting everything very quick. As I keep saying, trunk or treating is so much quicker. You get through and get your gratification a lot sooner. Whereas if you're out trick or treating for a few hours, that's a few hours that you have to wait to finish collecting all of your candy. And I feel like so many of these little kids nowadays, they don't want to, I have to walk 100 feet to the next house. Oh, I have to skip the next house because, their lights are off. They're not handing out candy tonight. Whereas trunk or treat, just boom, boom, boom. You get through it and you're done. So I don't know. I'd seen someone else saying something about that and to me it makes sense, but let me know what you think.
My
get it, right? You can say that it's like safer or it makes it more accessible and it's easier for toddlers. I think all of those things are true, but I feel like we should come up with a way to make this like a both and thing, right? Like maybe trunk or treating is a thing that happens earlier. Like maybe that's a 5 to 7 thing. And people go to the neighborhoods afterwards. I don't know, but I feel like something has to happen because like we did our trunk or treating. It took like 30 minutes max. And then we were like, this is it? Oh, this can't be it. No. And then we hit some neighborhoods after.
I'm sitting in my house with full-sized candy bars. Where are your children at?
You just want to do it in an environment that's like safe and like during the day.
No. Braving the night, risking being assaulted on a stranger's front porch, that is an initiation ritual that builds character. You gotta do it when they're young. What's so scary about my front door, huh? You think I'm not friendly? I got full-sized candy bars.
My next bullet point. Everyone is scared of everything nowadays. I feel like a big reason that trunk or treats have become so popular is because parents are scared to go trick-or-treating to random people's houses in the neighborhood. Whereas with trunk or treat, a lot of times it's a church, it's a business. People just, trunk or treats seem more trustworthy than, you know, your weird neighbor down the street. And I do think a lot of this, you know, the fear around trick-or-treating stems from people being afraid that there's going to be bad things in these kids' candy. However, the irony in all of this is that that's never actually happened. There has never been a reported case of someone putting anything bad in random children's candy for Halloween. Where this story stems from, I think it was in the 80s or 90s, there was a dad who had taken out a life insurance, he had taken out life insurance on his kid. And then not too long after that was Halloween, and he put a pixie stick in his kid's candy bucket. I don't remember exactly what it had, but it had something bad in it that caused this child to pass away. So, you know, people have construed that story into being, oh, you know, some random neighbor harmed this kid. No, it was his own dad. So really, as long as you and your child's other parent are not trying to harm your kid, they will probably be fine. Of course, you should always be diligent, look through the candy, make sure everything looks good. Rather, you know, be safe than sorry, but it's still not as crazy of a thing as so many people act like it is.
Y'all, I love Halloween, and I always give away these big giant pixie sticks. The kids love them. I'm telling you, I'm very well known in my neighborhood for giving away these things. But I want to show you, I've been giving these things away for 15 years. Last year on Amazon, I paid $34 for them. What am I going to be paying this year for them? They went from $34 to $53 in 12 months.
We went trick-or-treating last night. In fact, my neighborhood was pretty packed with trick-or-treaters. But I see your comment section, and you know, everyone's blaming the trunk or treat. Well, the trunk or treat happened mainly when the housing market started having issues. A lot of parents can't afford to live in safe trick-or-treating neighborhoods, meaning those with maybe sidewalks, not on main roads, or they're living in apartment complexes that don't have trick-or-treaters. Now last night, my neighborhood had a bunch of cars lined up, and it was awesome. People were just driving into the neighborhood and walking around because I live in a very safe neighborhood for trick-or-treating. Safe cars-wise. Nowhere safe anymore. We'll get to that next. But then you'll also have the angry boomers who say that, oh, they don't like seeing cars driving kids in the neighborhood and that's terrible and da-da-da-da-da. Well, they're doing it because does it mean that if you just can't live in a safe trick-or-treating neighborhood, you just don't get to go? That's not right. That sucks.
I took my daughter out trick-or-treating last night, and it just seemed like none of the houses were participating.
It's because cool people don't own houses anymore. Or, like, maybe I should say can't own houses. And my working theory is that the reason why Halloween is dying is because the majority of the people who own houses nowadays are just so old that they can't celebrate the way they would like to. Or they're just, like, in an income bracket that they're so used to being serviced that Halloween isn't their jive.
My next thing, and this is kind of my thing as to how I'm feeling this year, is no one can afford candy. No one can afford to pass out candy. I'm sure different trunk or treats are ran differently, but I know some of them, the business, church, whatever, whoever's putting it on, They will provide the candy for people to pass out. And I'm sure there's other ones where you have to provide your own candy to pass out. But that is a big thing. Maybe you want to hand out candy, but you can't afford it. But hey, you know, your church said, we're giving everybody a bucket full of candy to pass out to the kids. Then you can, you know, participate without it affecting your own finances. Nowadays, this depends how many trick-or-treaters you get too. Maybe you live in an area where you're probably only gonna get 20 trick-or-treaters, then it's gonna be a lot cheaper. But if you're gonna have a pretty decent amount of kids, you're looking at like 60 bucks. The price of candy is just insane. I mean, just like everything else is, but you know, hey, if your groceries are expensive, you just have to suck it up and pay that because you need to eat. Your family needs to eat. But candy for Halloween, it's not a necessity. So a lot of people are gonna have to pass on that. On top of that, all the cool people, all of the families who want to give out candy for Halloween, they can't afford houses. They're probably living in apartments. Maybe they're living in neighborhoods that are pretty sketchy, not safe. You know, nobody feels comfortable letting their kids wander your streets to collect candy from the neighbors. So now all of the nice neighborhoods are the greedy old boomers who don't want to do anything for anyone else. So that could be another big contributing factor.
With some bad news, we can't do Halloween anymore. Oh, it's the devil's birthday, isn't it? I knew it. I'm gonna need you to take all this candy back. Or, hear me out, I'm listening, we keep the candy. And everyone wears costumes. Go on. And we pass out the candy. But when? The end of October? Where? Our house. Wait, that sounds, our car. That sounds perfect. I know, and it's totally different from Halloween.
My next point is that churches have demonized Halloween unless it's taking place in their parking lot. I remember when I was younger and trick-or-treating, so about 15 years ago, really the only trunk-or-treats that we had, at least, you know, around in my area, were from churches. And it wasn't meant to replace trick-or-treating. I mean, I guess it was if you attended that church and they told you, you're gonna burn forever if you go to other people's houses for candy, just come here for candy. It's totally different. But for me, for my group that I went with, because we had some family friends we always went with, we would go trunk-or-treating in a couple church parking lots. And they were always earlier in the day too. You know, it would be like early evening, late afternoon, early evening. So we would go do our trunk-or-treating, and then right about as the time we were done with that, and by the time we got to the family friend's neighborhood, it would be about time to start go trick-or-treating. So basically we were using church's trunk-or-treats to pregame regular trick-or-treating. So I feel like originally trunk-or-treating was for kids whose parents thought that Halloween was the devil's birthday and this was the only, but dressing up and getting candy from cars in the church parking lot instead of from your neighbor's houses, that is totally different. Totally different, not similar at all. But now I feel like trunk-or-treating is, everyone's doing it. I mean, I know in my town, we have one inside the mall, we have one down on Main Street, and it's like all the businesses handing out candy. And then of course, every other church, and I live in a relatively small town and we still have like 800 churches. So I'm sure probably like 600 of them have been doing trunk-or-treats.
I did a trunk-or-treat at my kid's school tonight, and it really made me question whether or not I'm a cool mom, because what are some of y'all doing with your children? So this was ours. I thought it was pretty good. We had a little bucket right here that was totally full of candy. My kid's dad and brothers and bonus mom were in the car next to us, and they had a trunk full of candy. They brought so much candy. And everybody else there was doing take one, and we were all like, nah, you can have a handful. Like, it's fine. Like, we're not like the other parents. Not in a mean way. We just really thought that we brought enough candy. And they all left to go do something. I was like, yeah, I'll watch the car while you guys go do things. These two kids, this little boy and girl, came up to my bucket and their trunk. The little girl was literally scooping like massive handfuls of candy into her bag. Not just one, like everybody else had done, but like 2, 3, 4. And I was like, hey, because her mom was right behind her, like dancing and laughing and videoing her daughter taking all of our candy. I was like, hey, save some for other people. And she just looked at me and took another huge scoop and ran while the mom just cackled. And then right behind her, another little boy came up And he literally took my entire bucket and dumped it into his bag. And I was like, bro, I was so flabbergasted. I couldn't even properly get upset like at the time because I was like, what? Like while your mom is standing right, what? And another parent saw it happening and was like, hey, you guys need to leave. Starts getting on to the little boy as he's like dumping the bucket in. And he was like, if I see a bucket, I just gotta do it. I can't help it. And then he ran away. So from here on out, we decided that we're not gonna be the cool parents. We're gonna be take one parents. So whenever your kids go trick-or-treating and you're like, oh my God, they give out so little candy, everybody's just like a take one. It is literally other parents' fault for letting their children just run haywire. That was so uncool. I'm still upset about it.
My last point is greedy parents. There are so many parents with absolutely zero morals who either A, let their kids be terrible, or B, they encourage themselves to be terrible. Occasionally, you'll even see parents themselves being terrible. Now, what do I mean by this? My main thing is when people leave bowls of candy out that says just take one or whatever, and then the kid steals the whole bowl of candy, or you have the parent telling the kid to steal the whole bowl of candy. And sometimes, you know, because people have like Ring doorbell cameras and stuff, it will be the parent stealing the whole bowl of candy. Now, not to victim blame, but don't leave a whole bowl out. That's just, someone's gonna ruin it for everyone, right? So just at that point, if you are not able to pass out candy yourself, if you're not able to be out there, maybe you're taking your kids trick-or-treating, you know, this, that, and the other, just don't participate. Or if you really wanna pass out candy, maybe go pass out candy at a trunk or treat that's like, you know, 2 weeks before Halloween anyways. If you can't beat them, join them, I guess, right? I don't know. Now, of course, my main example for this topic is literally someone doing trunk or treat, which kind of makes this whole thing even worse. But if someone's gonna be doing that in a very, you know, populated area, probably well lit, probably even earlier in the day. It's probably not even dark out yet, right? If they're gonna be doing that there, imagine what they're doing in like kind of like the privacy of someone's little, you know, enclosed porch area in the dark. So I feel like things like that, parents being greedy, kids being greedy, things like that happening just kind of ruins Halloween for everybody. So then a lot of people stop participating. But anyways, that is it for this video. Tell me in the comments down below, what do you think of trunk or treating? Do you prefer it? Do you hate it? Do you agree that it is ruining the Halloween spirit? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!